RW Old Guy is back with a second match review. This one is Brian Pillman versus Jushin Thunder Liger. This is the first ever match on the first ever Monday Nitro on September the 4th, 1995. And it's live from the Mall of America. Eric Bischoff, Bobby Heenan, and Steve McMichael are on commentary. Not sure about if there's any storyline to this match. I got a feeling these guys just got told to go out and wrestle for 10 minutes, and that's what we got. How the cameraman definitely got his money's worth of great shots of the quote unquote arena. They had the ring set up by the main elevator in the middle of the mall, and every level had at least, I mean, you could see like 3 deep on all the railings around the around that middle area. It looked really cool to see all those people, and it was an interesting way to have your first Nitro. And this crowd looks like it's ready to go, so we're going to go right into the match here. Okay, so Brian Pillman gets pushed into the corner and takes an enziguri from Liger. Liger hits a moonsault on Brian Pillman for a 2 count. Liger puts a rear headlock on Pillman. Liger charges Pillman in the corner and eats a boot. Pillman follows up the boot with a hurricanrana. The crowd is getting super hyped up. They're already just excited to begin with, and they see these little sequences here, and they just can't get enough of it. And that, of course, makes me more excited to watch this match. Pillman puts a reverse arm lock on Liger. Liger hits Pillman with a drop toe hold and then follows up with a surfboard submission. The crowd pops for this, but I have to admit, I'm not a fan of the surfboard submission. It's kind of hard to describe. So I would suggest either watch this match or Google it, and you'll be able to see what I mean by how difficult it is to explain. I'm just not a fan of it because it doesn't look legit to me. It doesn't look like it hurts. It just give me a crippler crossface, a figure 4, or the calf crusher or something like that. It just looks like it hurts. I mean, depending on who's doing it, of course. Not to mention it takes forever to put this surfboard submission in. And like I said, when you go back and watch it and see how it looks, you can tell it just takes a lot of effort, and I don't even think it's worth it. However, the match continues with another Pillman head scissors to Liger. Liger backdrops Pillman over the top rope and then follows up with a 360 heel kick to Pillman. Kudos to the camera guy for being right there. He caught it. He caught that heel kick really, really good. So kudos to the cameras, or the cameraman, excuse me. A USA chant perks up from the crowd for some reason. America, I guess. Mall of America. I don't know. Pillman suplexes Liger over the top rope to the floor. Pillman does a quick little pose in the ring and earns him a nice pop from the crowd. Pillman climbs to the top rope and does a crossbody to Liger on the floor. Liger catches Pillman crotches Pillman on the top turnbuckle. Liger suplexes Pillman for a nice 2 count, and then Liger does that looks up at the referee as if to say, "Was that a 2 count?" I hate that. Yeah, of course it was. You heard the 1-2, and then he puts his shoulder up. I mean, whatever. Pillman drop kicks Liger out of midair for a nice 2 count. Looked really good. Liger reverses a backdrop attempt into a power bomb. Nice sexy pin for a 2 count. Crowd after that sequence, the crowd rewards the 2 guys with a nice little pop and well earned. Liger hits Pillman with a hurricanrana from the top rope for a 2 count. Pillman hits a tilt-a-whirl DDT from Brett's rope for a 2 count. Both guys jockey for position. They try to hit a German suplex on each other. Pillman eventually gets the upper hand and hits a victory roll on the Liger for the 1, 2, 3, and Pillman wins. And the crowd popped huge for him. After the match was over, they had a little show of respect. They shook hands and posed for the crowd a little bit, and then they went on their merry way. Overall, the match was good. Although it felt like they were just going through the motions. Like I said before, I got a feeling that they were just told to go out and have a 10-minute match and just do what you can. And they both maximized their minutes. I will say that they did maximize their minutes, but I honestly expected a little bit more from arguably two of the greatest workers wrestling is known. I understand that there's time constraints and it's a 1-hour show. I totally understand that, but I felt there could have been. They could have either done more I'm sorry, they could have done more with either less spots in the 10 minutes that they wrestled, or they get more time, which they weren't going to get. So, again, I understand it's time constraints. Okay, so for the match itself, some of the execution here was kind of sloppy. There were some timing issues at the beginning. When Liger went for that moonsault on Pillman, I'm not sure if Liger was late getting to the top or Pillman was too early. But you can see Pillman walking up towards Liger, who was climbing up the turnbuckle, and he just stands there for like about 3 to 4 seconds. It looked kind of silly, because at that point, it's like Pillman sees it coming, dodge, But that was part of the sequence, and they kept right on going. Pillman hit a Hurricanrana, or I'm sorry, that spot where Liger comes in to Pillman and the turnbuckle, and Pillman kicks him, and then Pillman follows up with the Hurricanrana. I think that was the botch, unless there's some kind of funky move that I just didn't notice. But when Pillman put his legs up around Liger's neck to do the Hurricanrana, it looked like Liger just fell straight down instead of flipping over Pillman. So unless it was a move that I haven't seen before, I think it was a botch. The selling, there's a couple impactful moves, like Pillman's crossbody off the top rope, Pillman's DDT, and the Liger superplex. They didn't have time to resonate with the crowd that was an impactful move. It looked good, but it kind of takes away from the impact of the move. When you're going to the next spot within like 2 or 3 seconds, like it didn't even hurt. So I'm always a fan of wrestlers selling the moves as impactful and dangerous, and they hurt. But again, I think that was a victim of time constraints. So I'm not going to try to put too much emphasis on my rating when at the end. Like I said before, I think they could have just done more with less spots, or they had more time. If that had happened, I would have gave this match a 9. It was smooth, it was crisp in most parts. And not to mention, who wouldn't want to watch a Pillman Liger match for about like 15 minutes? I sure as hell would. But I gave it a 7. Some of the timing, like I said, some of the sloppy move execution and selling, and that's pretty much the story behind my rating. Before I get out of here, I'm going to go ahead and put over Bobby Heenan real quick, because he's one of my favorite wrestling personalities of all time. If I was going to start a wrestling company tomorrow, he'd be the first guy I call. He's just so good. He can't get in the ring, but maybe in his prime he could. He used to wrestle, I think, back in the 70s, and he was a chicken shit heel, obviously. You can tell by the way he always acted as a manager, and sometimes when he's an announcer, he would favor the heels. He's just so good at being a mouthpiece for a wrestler, or making a match feel important. And he's also funny as shit. He's just so quick-witted. Everything, some of these quotes I'm about to read off are just him probably off the top of his head. I mean, Chris would understand that you don't want to hand somebody a script, right? So don't hand Bobby Heenan a script. He doesn't need it. Okay, so here are the quotes that I heard throughout the match. In reference to Brian Pillman's head scissors early in the match, Heenan says he whipped them from Bloomingdale's to Macy's and back. Thought that was a nice little reference to the Mall of America, along with the fact that Liger took a nice bump. In reference to Mondo McMichael being referenced as a Chicago Bear, Heenan asked Eric Bischoff, "Is the Bronco going to be here every single?" I'm sorry. The quote was the question was, sorry. He asked Eric Bischoff, "Is the Bronco going to be here every week?" Just making fun of the fact that Mondo McMichael was a bear, not a Bronco. Mondo McMichael asked if Heenan ever went surfing when he was about 40 pounds lighter, and this quote happened right during that surfboard submission. And Heenan responded with, "I don't surf. I have someone else do it for me." It's just, what? I love Heenan. He's so good. And the last one is in reference to Mondo McMichael asking Heenan if he ever played football. And this is the typical Heenan. He'd rather not be the guy who is doing the dirty work. He wants to be in control. And of course, him being a manager, he's always in control. He always had the plan. And the quote was, "I never cared to play football. I'd rather own the team." I mean, that's just good stuff. Bobby Heenan is a blessing. Like I said, if I started a company tomorrow, he'd be the first guy I call. All right. That was a fun match. Like I said, I gave it a 7. It could have been better for the reasons I stated earlier. Go give it a watch. I definitely suggest it. It's Pillman before he becomes the loose cannon, so you see him doing a lot more aerial moves. Liger I don't know much about Jushin Thunder Liger other than the fact he's coming to the United States from time to time, but I don't know much about his Japan work. But give this match a watch. I highly suggest it. And I'll be back tomorrow with another one, and I'll see you then. Good night.